In 2022, I went undercover at a hospital to expose some of the abuse that was happening on patients, as well as a series of fraudulent activities. Sadly, another case of deep-seated fraud, medical negligence and horrors has come up at another facility, this time in Nakuru County. A warning to some of our viewers, as this story may be disturbing to some of you. Also note that some of the people we interviewed in this investigation requested to have their identities hidden, which gives a glimpse of the gravity of the claims made. But not everyone chose to stay hidden. Amos Kiprop was resilient, not just in his efforts to ensure that the matter was highlighted, despite several ignored attempts to inform the authorities about what was happening, but also in the 2 years he worked as a radiographer turned whistleblower at Sister Mazoldi Hospital.
I am fearing for somebody else, or myself, or another family member of mine, or any other person, because I took an oath as a health practitioner when I graduated, and I swore that I will serve the public.
This fear traces back to the day a life was lost at the hospital. It is a situation all health professionals are trained to confront, but this death had all the hallmarks of something darker, a macabre plan to discard human life with reckless abandon at this hospital, Sister Mazoldi, located in Rongai area of Nakuru County. Sister Mazoldi Hospital is a faith-based level 4 hospital. It was incorporated sometime in 1990 by Catholic missionaries. Back to Amos. His fear was parallel to Wycliffe Nyachuba's, a former nursing officer at Sister Mazoldi Hospital, who is also a whistleblower in this report. Their bravery forms the basis of this investigation, as together they managed to record and store months of evidence and receipts that show just how darkness reigned at Sister Mazoldi Hospital, all the while under the cloth of religion. The story of 24-year-old Agnes Chalangat is a difficult one to fully tell because she's not here to tell it, but perhaps images can help to illustrate her persona and, more importantly, everything she was looking forward to. Her social media is publicly available. We also asked her family for permission to use the photographs. It shows a warmth about her, carrying out her work as a farmer while simultaneously running a shop business. But ambition was not the only aspect that governed her daily toil. It was the life growing within her as she eagerly counted down the days to her delivery date. It was going to be her first child, and everything had to be perfect. But where joy had marked the days leading up to her delivery date, sorrow replaced the day itself. Agnes would never get the chance to hold in her arms the life she carried for 9 months. Wycliffe was among the last people that saw Agnes as she came into Sister Mazoldi Hospital when her delivery date finally arrived. This was in 2024. As a nursing officer, he carried out his duties, monitoring her health, vitals, and making sure she was cared for.
She would not have been able to give birth naturally, and so we recommended that she receive a cesarean section. And we called the doctors. They came from Nakuru. That's where the surgeons for the hospital usually came from.
If you are wondering why doctors had to be called in, it is because despite being a faith-based level 4 hospital that was meant to have a doctor on duty at all times, Sister Mazoldi brought in doctors on a case-by-case basis. Once the doctors from Nakuru County came in and Wycliffe confirmed that Agnes was in good condition, he left, since his shift had come to an end.
At the 6:45 of that same evening, when I was watching a football match, I received a call from one of my colleagues who we used to work with. And she informed me that, do you remember the mother you left at the hospital? And I said, yes, I remember her very well. And she told me that the mother is dead.
The time Wycliffe received this call is extremely important. Keep note of it. Fortunately, Agnes's child survived. However, the 24-year-old's demise was about to take a sinister turn as the hospital took every step possible to cover up what truly happened inside the theatre. In the interest of public concern and safety, NTV has managed to obtain evidence that tells of the horror of exactly what happened to Agnes that night, which was never meant to come out. I will divide it into two parts. The first part contains documents involved in the case which will need a keen ear, and the second one involves the disturbing manipulation of Agnes's family in the plan to cover up her death. So far, we know Agnes arrived at the facility on 21st September 2024 at around 10 a.m. But after observation, the team that received her found that she was not contracting naturally and she needed a cesarean section to safely deliver her child. At 4 p.m., Wycliffe left the facility after completing his shift and confirming that Agnes was in good condition. According to the medical report written by the team who took over, at 4:30 p.m., Agnes was wheeled into theatre, and at 4:40 p.m., the surgery started. This is a highly unusual entry because it is unheard of for a surgery to start just 10 minutes after a patient has been wheeled into theatre. Final confirmations of equipment, monitoring of vitals, surgical scrubs, clothing the team in their gowns, gloves, and the anesthesia review can push the time into 40 to 60 minutes. Look closely at the part that states that the patient was anesthetized at 4:42 p.m. versus the time that the surgery started at 4:40 p.m. This is incorrect, as a patient cannot be operated on before they are put under anesthesia. But this isn't the most startling part. The real shocker is that there are two of these reports. One is the original, and another is a duplicated file filled with the false entries of what took place as part of the pyramid of manipulation created by hospital management. Incorrectly filled hospital documents are dangerous for several reasons, as outlined by the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Aiden Dwale.
You see thousands of claim forms from a health facility, all of them filled by one handwriting with the same biro pen. That is an illegal claim form, and that is a rejection.
Back to Wycliffe and the phone call he received from the theatre technician who was there when Agnes was operated on and died.
So fast forward, she called me again at 9 p.m. of that same day. So she informed me the mother had died at around 6, and when the doctors realized that, they called now the management of the hospital. The management said that we cannot handle this death at this facility. So what we are going to do, we are going to lie to the caretakers of this matter who are waiting for her outside the theatre room that they have gotten an emergency and a complication inside the theatre, and that now they will need to refer this matter to Nakuru PGH for ICU care.
We can exclusively play the phone call that was placed on the day by Wycliffe, who recorded it.
Lakini siwe hata ulikuwa theater hiyo time huyo mgonjwa akikufa Agnes.
Hiyo nilikuwa huyo mama akikufa kwa tembo. Nilibaba tebanga tibakorangaria relative chikulikire liga. Atire mo atimbiale ne rifaro bako mo.
Na kwa ringe
mongronde ga kwa sisi nilikuwa.
Hii anesthetic machine unajua huyo jamaa? Na Onzari amesema hiyo mambo ni uongo.
Ndio wote ni uongo na ilikuwa ni ukweli. Unaita itingi Onzari ni kama alishindwa kuhifadhi. Kuna na Silvia Tebete?
The conversation between Wycliffe and the theatre technician heavily implicates the hospital's management in the plan that was hatched. But more importantly, it implicates the anesthetist who handled Agnes as she was wheeled into theatre. This is important because the medical report, both the original one and the duplicated one filled with falsehoods, have his fingerprints all over them. Through the scribbles and attempted erasure, the story of the cover-up almost tells itself. Both reports form the first betrayal against Agnes. Let's take a closer look at the original file and what he indicated. From it, we can confirm that the anesthetist's name is Victor Onsare. The doctor's review is strictly meant to be filled by a doctor, yet Victor, the anesthetist, took it upon himself to fill in the date and his name. But this is mild in comparison to what he filled at the bottom of the report. In the outcome, he wrote the word dead, and in what appears to be a scramble to maintain a different narrative, he wrote referred to, then scribbled it out and wrote for ICU care. A medical report is a serious document which is meant to be recorded with the highest precision. His actions here raise two pertinent questions. How could he indicate that a patient was declared dead, be referred for ICU care, and why was he the one filling in the entire report? Now let's dig into the duplicate report which we have also managed to obtain. Once again, Onsare filled it out, despite being the anesthetist. He copied the same strange timings into this duplicate report, but possibly noted that it might be strange to fill out 4:40 p.m. as the time the surgery started. Yet just 10 minutes earlier, Agnes had been wheeled into theatre. So he scribbled 6 on top of the 0, which means according to Onsare's rewritten version, the surgery started at 4:46 p.m. Instead of just 10 minutes for the total time he indicated in the original report, he wrote 4:42 p.m. in the duplicate file, which is even more mind-boggling because this would mean that the whole process of a cesarean section on Agnes would have taken 4 minutes. This is impossible as the procedure is exhaustive and would typically span into some hours. Once again, the last part shows the true face of the lie. He completely obscures that Agnes was dead as the outcome of the procedure and instead notes that she was referred for ICU/HDU care. This altered file is dangerous, not just because of the lies contained in it, but because it is the file that was presented to Nakuru County's health officials, which they have in their records. Unbeknownst to them, it is the false version of events. NTV reached out to the Clinical Officers Council to understand the background of Victor Onsare. In response, they confirmed that he was indeed a registered clinical officer, although it was difficult to establish when he started practicing. During Wycliffe's conversation with the theatre technician on the night Agnes died, she alluded that Victor had administered the incorrect amounts of anesthesia into Agnes before she was operated on, and that the team noticed her condition declining. They then confirmed that she was dead on the operating table. In order to countercheck this, we reached out to Victor. After several attempts, however, we could not get through to him, and later word reached us that he died sometime in August 2025. His family confirmed his demise. They say he died after reaching his house after a night shift at a hospital and died from suffocation in unclear circumstances. They insist he was a professional who never had any complaints formed against him. But while the reports heavily implicate Victor, he was not the only team on duty that night. NTV has managed to identify the full team that was present as Agnes died on the operating table. They were Dr. Charles Kivumbi, an external doctor who was called in to conduct the cesarean section; Victor Onsare, who we now know was the anesthetist; Lydia Auma and Milka Mongare Kwamboka, who are listed as the first and second assistants during the procedure. Milka is also the person Wycliffe was on the phone with earlier. Keep a key note of Milka Kwamboka as she appears in yet another case in this report. But regarding Agnes, we reached out to her to understand what happened on the night that Agnes died.
Naambiwa ulikuwa mmoja wa wale walikuwa huko ndani ya theater wakati alifanya hiyo upasuaji. So nilikuwa nataka kuconfirm kama ulikuwa huko. And if so, kama unaweza nisaidia na details za nini ilifanyika hiyo siku.
Mimi ngoje kidogo akenda tuongee baadaye.
Tuongee saa ngapi?
Jioni maybe.
Jioni what time?
6:40.
Milka never picked up when I called her, but later texted denying that she was present on the night that Agnes died despite earlier agreeing that she was. We also reached out to the other nursing assistant, Lydia Auma, to understand more about what happened on the night of 21st August 2024 when Agnes died.
I think it would be nice ukiongea na mkubwa wa hospitali.
And nisha launch yo, but you see I'm also talking to you specifically juu naambiwa ulikuwa kwa ambulance.
No, just talk to her.
So are you confirming? Are you denying?
No, I'm not. I'll not say anything as for now.
Were you in the ambulance with Agnes when she was dead?
Just talk to mkubwa.
I'm asking, were you in the ambulance with Agnes?
Everybody look, see what the Lord has done for me.
We also found her TikTok account, which presents the attitude she has towards her work. In one of the posts, she attaches a patient's record. In another shocking post, she mocks mothers who have died after giving birth. And in yet another one, she mocks maternal death audits.
I was not there. Check the record.
We then contacted Dr. Charles Kivumbi on why he did not fill out the medical report, which was strictly required of him, among other details about the night in question.
Everything was clear.
Was Agnes alive when she left the hospital?
That's what I'm saying, that we documented.
It's a simple question. Was she alive when she left the hospital? Because you are the doctor in charge.
Yes, she was.
So you're confirming that she was alive according to you as the doctor in charge? So as the doctor in charge, you're confirming that she was alive when she left the hospital?
All the circumstances were documented well.
But actually you didn't leave them well documented because, like I said, the theater notes were written by Victor Ansari, who was the anesthetist, yet they were meant to be filled by you. And number two, it said that she was dead, and then it said that she was referred. So I wonder how you can refer a dead person to another hospital.
No, that one is not right. It is the whole thing is well documented,
We then reached out to the hospital's management on the same, where we were directed to the sister in charge, named Sister Agnes.
That one I can't give you the real name because now since I'm new, I may not really give you the right information.
So who can I speak to?
Let me call the previous in charge.
Okay, is she around?
No, she is transferred.
Oh, where is she now?
She's in Tanzania, but her number can still go through.
Could you kindly send me her contact?
Yes, please.
We received no response from her by the time this report went on air, despite writing an email with the questions as a second attempt. Now we can dig into the second part of the plan that was hatched by the hospital. To do that, we would need to set outward from Nakuru County, where Agnes died, and head 124 kilometers northwest to where she was born and raised in Kapkatet, Nandi County. We journeyed in a bid to not only tell the story of who she was through her family, but to retrace Agnes's final steps before she took her last breath. Her sister Mercy Cherotich should know. She witnessed those final moments. Mercy is extremely key in this part of the story. She was at work in Nakuru County when the hospital told her Agnes had been admitted. They said Agnes was alive, but that her case had turned into an emergency which needed referral to another facility. They were waiting for her, and she needed to come as fast as possible. Perplexed, she asked them why they were waiting for her. If it was an emergency, shouldn't her sister be rushed to another facility and she would meet them there?
Ni kama nilikuwa na ngojwa. Ili take time juu nilienda hadi nyumbani na kurudi. Kurudi nika take time tena kwenye nilikuwa nafanya kazi. Kuelezea tajiri ni hivi na hivi ndo nitoke. Sasa after kutoka kuenda, kufika huko ndo nimeambiwa tu niingie kwa ambulance. In which ni kama watu walikuwa wanangoja ndo nitoke. After tu kuingia hivi kwa gari ndo wakatoka.
By the time Mercy had arrived, some hours had passed. What she didn't know is that the hospital wanted her there as a witness for the show they were about to put on to avoid liability for Agnes's death.
Na nikajaribu sasa kuuliza maswali. Nilijaribu kuguza my sister, ikawa ako baridi. Nimejaribu kumuita mara kadhaa. Hakuna response yoyote na mtu amekaa ni kama hayuko sawa. Najaribu kuuliza madaktari, ananiambia muache atulie, ni kama amechoka. Sasa nimejaribu kunyamaza, kujaribu hata kumfungua, juu alikuwa ameumia hadi hapa. Kujaribu kutoa nini, wakanikataza. Kuuliza nurse, akaniambia kuna dawa alidungwa na bado iko kwa mwili inatumika.
Several members of the hospital staff, including Lydia Auma, the nurse, crammed into the ambulance and created a well-rehearsed narrative by telling Mercy that her sister was asleep, when in reality, they had put Mercy next to the corpse of her sister. Something else picked her attention.
After kuingia kwa ambulance, nikauliza mtoto ako wapi. Nikaambiwa wamebaki na mama na mother-in-law. Sasa hiyo ndo nikajiuliza, mbona mama singeenda na mtoto, ndo mama akiamka at least wakuwa na mtoto wake. Na hapo sasa niliona there is something going on.
What they did next truly illustrates the lengths they went to in order to lie to her.
Ikafika tu mahali tumeenda mahali hadi ilikuwa Soilo. Ndo wakasema tu condition imebadilika. Sasa nimejaribu kumshika huyo daktari kumuuliza condition imebadilika aje, na from the first tumetoka tu akiwa hivi. Hivyo tu ndo wakatoka wakaniacha kwa ambulance ndani na sister yangu. Na wakaenda wakaongea nje, ndo wakaniambia Agnes amepasa.
Mercy says she found the hospital's behavior strange, waiting for her to arrive despite them saying her sister's case was an emergency. The staff inside the ambulance saying Agnes was asleep, yet she was unresponsive and cold to the touch, and how they suddenly stopped along the way and said Agnes's condition had changed, yet she had remained in the same condition since they started the journey. Despite her suspicions, never in her wildest thoughts did she think that a plan this dark would be orchestrated. Agnes's uncle, Kipkurui Kemboi, spent the last few months with Agnes here at the family home. He fondly called her Angu.
We still have that scar, crying for help. Ndo sisi pia tuweze kujua ni kwa nini aliaga. Si tuliambiwa aliaga tu, kitaka kufuatilia kujua kwa nini aliaga. Hatuna clear picture yenye inaonyesha kwamba aliaga kwa sababu ya hii na hii na hii. Yule mtu mwenye amekufa ako na rights zake, na yule mtu mwenye alikuwa na yeye ako na rights zake. Baka wakati mnamuita dadake akuje ampeleke, mbona mkamuita wakati ambao mumeua?
After the staff staged their show to Mercy, they believed that their cover-up was successful, but they let a few things slip, such as when they told Mercy this.
Kuuliza nurse, akaniambia kuna dawa alidungwa na bado iko kwa mwili inatumika.
This lends credence once again to the conversation between Wycliffe and the theatre technician, who claimed Onsare was unable to wake Agnes up after injecting her with the anesthesia. It would also explain why it was Onsare, the anesthetist, who took several measures to conceal the facts he entered in the final report. But the buck did not stop with him. NTV has managed to obtain evidence that shows that the management led by this woman, identified as Sister Redemptor, also took measures in altering the truth. This is a recorded conversation of her talking to Onsare on the phone about the report.
Hiyo 9:30 hapa tuliondoka saa 3 manake tuko na ambulance. Ni driver alikuwa saa nyingi na alikaa hapa almost 1 hour wakiwangoja huko theater. Siukuje basi tumalizie hiyo kitu.
This is why the time Wycliffe received a call from the theatre technician is important. It reveals that Agnes died at roughly 6:45 p.m, yet Sister Redemptor wanted to alter this and instead indicate the time of death as 9:30 p.m. They reportedly did this to conceal that Agnes had died at Sisto Mazzoldi Hospital in order to avoid liability.
So we asked them, why did you refuse to refer this matter? And one of the nurses did, and we have that recording, that you cannot refer a dead body.
It's too late to go back.
While Agnes spent majority of her pregnancy here in Nandi County, She opted to travel to Nakuru County to deliver her child because it was closer to her husband who was working there. But the reason she chose Sister Mazoldi Hospital was because it aligned with her Christian faith.
Ni mtu tu alikuwa anapenda kanisa. Kila kitu ikimsumbua anasema hakuna kitu tunaweza fanya, lakini ni kuwa tu na uvumilivu.
Biblia inasema kwamba jua ukweli na ukweli utakuweka huru. Sasa leo wacha Mazoldi Hospital musikie ukweli kutoka kwetu sisi. Kwamba nyinyi ni watu ambao mumejificha kwenye kanisa. Lakini nyinyi hakuna kitu mnajua kuhusu kanisa. Na Sister Mazoldi, your negligence has been known. You need to tell the truth to the nation. If not, you need to close up and go.
This was the most difficult interview we held. Until the moment we visited Agnes's family, they had no idea that the hospital created this mock campaign in Agnes's death. Off camera, Mercy wept at hearing what really happened.
Na miss my sister juu alikuwa mtu anapenda kuuliza juu most of the time hiyo time alikuwa akiwa na ball. Alikuwa mtu anapenda kuuliza story ya nyumbani. Anauliza kuhusu mnaendelea aje. Na ni mtu alikuwa anapenda kupea mtu advice. What I missed sana ni that company alikuwa very close na mimi. Anything Kenya alikuwa anapitia alikuwa ananiambia. Na yeye alikuwa tu anapenda kusema tuombeane.
But the question we did not get a clear answer to is why. Why would the hospital go through all these gross extremes to cover up their tracks? The reason may be linked to another case we will explore of yet another expectant mother who died under similar tragic circumstances in the hospital's hands. The grief caused by Agnes's death is worn on her family's sleeve. Her husband, who is now raising the child he and Agnes were meant to raise together, cradles their fond memories close. We noted snippets of his pain via his social media pages. For privacy reasons, he opted not to speak to us on camera.
Brody, I'd give it all up for just one more day with her.
This next chapter of our investigation makes it more apparent that the misconduct at the hospital was not linear, but in fact, a deeply embedded matrix of fraud that left its grooves and prints in virtually everything, with patients ultimately doused in the neglect that the hospital peddled. This is Justice. He asked us to hide his identity, a decision whose reason will become apparent shortly. This is a message that NTV has managed to obtain. It indicates that Justice underwent a thyroidectomy surgery, which cost 134,400 shillings under the Social Health Authority. The surgery was authorized and the money was dispatched to Sister Mazoldi Hospital. Except that Justice's thyroid is intact. The surgery was never conducted and he was never a patient at Sister Mazoldi Hospital because at the time, he was in fact an employee of the hospital.
It was back in February. A colleague approached me that there is a trend that is going on that employee, they are asked to produce their details, ID number, so that they be registered for SHA, that a procedure is to be done for them. So this procedure is to be paid by SHA. So the moment it is paid, the individual will get 50%. The person who approached me said that the management is aware. So me declining could put my position or my job into something else. So I had to comply.
After the pre-authorization code was sent, the hospital waited for their pot to fill with the fraudulent money.
I'm sure the management was aware because the money was to come through the hospital account, then it was to be disbursed. It was to be divided amongst us. The SHA paid the hospital And some individuals, especially the second person that approached me, received the money, but never shared with us.
This last point reveals the reason why Justice came forward with this information to us. The deal was not honored by the hospital, and they kept the full amount of what was paid by the Social Health Authority. To prove this swing of fraud an extra step further, we asked Justice to take an ultrasound examination. The findings are a damning indication of Sisto Mazoldi's fraudulent activities. The results clearly show that his thyroid gland is intact and normal in sight and size. It further finds that the thyroid is in fact normal. No surgery ever happened or needed to happen. NTV has received evidence that shows that Justice's case is not isolated. In fact, it appears that the money-making outfit of the hospital was a clandestine side project where they embezzled funds running into millions of shillings on ghost procedures and patients from as far back as when the National Health Insurance Fund was in place to the present-day Social Health Insurance Fund.
We are doing a ward round at the hospital, and when you ask the patient, what's your name, the patient will remove a phone from the pocket, go through the messages, read that messages in order for her or him to tell you his or her name. And they were being given names of other people.
Amos elaborates on an incident where a patient came in and he took them through various tests. Later, he reviewed the patient's file and noticed that the name of the patient was eerily similar to one of his colleagues.
When I questioned about that, I was told, no, this is not the same patient. But later on, the sister in charge admitted that we were using the staff members' insurance to assist another person.
This is a video clip recorded undercover where Wycliffe was handling the file of a patient only to find that it belonged to his colleague, Milka Kwamboka, who registered to undergo a ghost procedure. Once the money was disbursed, she would be given a percentage by the hospital. We reached out to Milka, who says she cannot recall signing up as a patient in order to defraud the then National Health Insurance Fund. The medley of fraud and unexplained maternal deaths taking place at the hospital was reported to the authorities several times by Amos and Wycliffe. Amos specifically reported the fraud happening under the Social Health Authority to them in a 14-minute call he recorded as evidence.
The facility is mobilizing people at the community to be offered surgical services using other people's cover, all right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Bwana Kiprop, for the information. And I assure you the action will be taken.
I appreciate it.
Yes. At least we have found the correct name of the facility.
Yes.
So we'll pick it now from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Mazoldi.
Yes.
Okay, Kiprop. Thank you for the updates and have a good afternoon.
Despite the Social Health Authority representative collecting all the information and recording the name of the hospital in their database and assuring Amos that action would be taken, the authority, led by the CEO, Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, did nothing about the situation. Otherwise, we would not be here. The Cabinet Secretary for Health, Aidan Dwale, says that multiple variations of fraud are being carried out by health facilities. I asked him what SHA is doing to detect fraud and if it is really working.
Over a period of time, until May, there was a lot of abuse because the system, the fraud engine were being built, the ERP were being built. But now, Kenyan health facilities, private, public, and faith-based, who want to do genuine business, now are happy with the system.
So far, the ministry says 13 billion shillings has been recovered in false claims. The ministry has also suspended 1,118 facilities and some 118 files have been submitted to the DCI.
It is very criminal. We have many patients who have given us information, who have written statements with the DCI, with our forensic auditors, and they are protected. And I am sure the DPP will use them for his case under protection. But I want to urge Kenyans, because this is the money we are protecting as SHA, the leadership of SHA and the ministry, are taxpayers' money. These are money that is kept to treat patients. So anybody who wants to steal that money is very immoral. So I really want to urge Kenyans of all walks of life to make sure that they become the whistleblowers.
While the evil by the hospital management conjured phantom patients, their fraud took on an agreeable symmetry in other areas, specifically tax evasion, which Amos tried to alert the Kenya Revenue Authority about. This secret recording shows the members of the management, also known as the Sisters, dishing out cash to one of their employees. This was the main method that the hospital used to evade paying higher statutory deductions, and here's how they did it. In his signed contract, Amos was meant to be paid 36,000 shillings as his net salary, but the hospital paid him 30,000 shillings via his bank account and 6,000 shillings in cash without any explanation. When he challenged them, they told him to stop complaining as he had received his salary. This turned up in the KRA system as an underrepresentation of what was being remitted in tax, and they began penalizing Amos thousands of shillings.
I went to the KRA portal, specifically iWhistle, and I posted my story about the tax evasion or something like that, and with the evidence of these particulars like petty cash receipts, and I posted my contract because my contract is also part of the evidence as to why.
However, the Kenya Revenue Authority ignored his distress call.
I still owe the government a certain amount of money, of which that is not my fault. It's the fault of the facility because they underreported my gross income to the KRA. Yeah, so I am the one who is finding it hard because I still have to pay the tax.
We reached out to KRA to alert them about the matter, but they did not respond. But the problems in this hospital stem much deeper than just the blatant disregard for the law. Many of the patients who came here believed that their medical issues would be handled with an added layer of humanity, considering that it is a faith-based hospital. But even in the subtle nuances, it was easy to tell that this belief was a shot in the dark.
There was this incident where I had been on my off days, so when I came to report on duty, I found two male patients that were admitted at the male ward. And when I was talking to them, after giving them their medications, they told me that they had not eaten since the previous day.
Jana mtakula kwanza saa ngapi?
Asubuhi alituletea. Alileta chai kweli? Hatakuleta.
Chai iko leta.
I asked them, what is the reason? Why have you not eaten yet you are at the hospital? They told me we have not been able to raise the hospital bill. So the management said that we cannot eat.
The hospital also barred their relatives from bringing them food. If only this was an isolated incident. But alas, Ken, not his real name, has a similar story. He asked us to conceal his identity out of concerns for his safety, as he is well known in the area. In 2021, he rushed his young daughter to Sisto Mazoldi Hospital after she choked on breast milk, which ended up spilling into her lungs.
Siku ya kwanza, ya pili. Si wakajua sasa ameingia kwa system. Si mama anastahili akamuliwe maziwa, akamulie mtoto awekewe, ndio iende isaidie mtoto kama chakula yake. Wakaanza chakula. Mara ya kwanza akampea chakula vizuri, siku ya kwanza. Siku ya pili wakaanza kubunguza hiyo chakula na kumwandoli vibaya.
Ken reckons they reduced the food portions because he had not paid cash upfront, and he asked to use his then NHIF for payment. But relief was in sight for him as his daughter recovered and the day that she was set to be discharged came around.
Siku ya tano sasa atoke mtoto. Sasa wakati nilikuwa ninaenda na NHIF yangu ili angalau nitoe mtoto, wakaniambia NHIF haifanyi kazi, na hiyo ndiyo ilikuwa tegemeo langu. Ukweli wakaniambia NHIF haifanyi kazi. Vile haifanyi kazi, nikawaambia sasa nifanye nini? Wakaniambia tunataka pesa cash. Hesabu yenye nilipewa ni kitu around 38,000. 38,000 nilikuwa na 7,000. Na hiyo 7,000 ilikuwa ndio pesa yenye nichungia hao wakati watatoka hospitali. Ndio nifanye nini? Ikuwe kama chakula. na kenye kinaita kinaweza takiwa 1, 2, 3.
He was forced to resort to desperate measures in order to return back home with his family.
Nikapiga simu nyumbani. Ukweli wakauza ng'ombe. Kuuza ng'ombe, nikakuja nikalipa hiyo pesa, nikatoka na mtoto. Haja yangu ilikuwa mtoto.
But this is when he knew the plan was sinister.
Kulipa yenye nililipa, si kupewa risiti. Nikapiga hesabu kawa, nikawauliza risiti kwa wakaniambia, wewe si tumekupea mtoto. Nikasema ukweli sasa. Asante kwa kunipea mtoto. Juu ya nini? Mtoto ni wa maana kuliko risiti. Kweli nikatoka hapo nikiwa na mauchungu.
In order to interrogate claims of this wing of fraud, we went undercover, and what our team found vividly mirrors what Ken experienced. Our team member first ran through triage and observed streams of patients coming into the facility, many of them with their babies. It quickly becomes evident that this is the main focus of the hospital, maternal and postnatal care. For the most part, everything appears to move regularly. That is until the doctor finishes his consultation and lab tests with our team member and refers him to the cashier to make the payment. He requests his lab results and they decline to hand them to him. Later, he pays 500 shillings for the consultation and the lab tests done, but they also decline to give him a receipt for this. We also reached out to Sister Agnes to inform her about our team member's experience at the hospital, which happened when she was a sister in charge.
Don't disturb me of what has passed. I told you, I don't know who is sending you. And I don't know who is engineering you. My number is my number. Stop calling me. I have told you.
Then who do I speak to since you're the final leader of the hospital? Who do I
Please,
speak
can you
to?
leave me? I don't call me for anything whatsoever, for God's sake.
The employees are still acting irregularly. I am trying to notify you.
Don't call my phone anymore. I have told you, if you want, follow it from the sub-county.
They claim to be a very holistic facility that provide care and holistic services to the patient. But contrary to that, they are using the patients, I believe, to gain money than to help them.
This incident confirms Ken's narration about the hospital refusing to issue him with a receipt after forcing him to pay cash for his sick daughter's treatment.
There's a scenario whereby a mother comes in and this mother has no money or came with the insurance. Now the mother has been told that okay, the insurance will work. Later on, the mother was also told your insurance is not working. Whereas, remember, the insurance is working. They wanted to take the money from the mother. They needed cash.
Dr. David Kariuki, the CEO of the Kenya Medical Practitioners Council, says that the behavior by health professionals in the country is held to a higher standard than other professions due to the fine line between life and death and the promise to honor it at the start of every professional's career.
Generally, in medicine, we have a principle we call first do no harm. And with that is why every practitioner at the beginning of their career, they take what we call a Hippocratic oath, an affirmation or commitment that throughout their life they will only do what will be good for the benefit of the people that they treat.
This Hippocratic oath becomes especially important in the next case we will highlight, a tale of a final cry from an expectant mother, a double tragedy, and yet another cover-up by the hospital, as we will illustrate. Jacqueline Chebet Ngetich was never meant to die, and we will illustrate why. Indeed, when a mother goes into delivery, the fragility of life casts its dark shadows, as does the contrasting light of a new soul brought into the world after 9 months of a mother's anticipation and love. This is the same energy Jacqueline exuded as her due date drew closer. According to her family, barely into her 30s, Jacqueline had a bubbly spirit about her that was infectious. Faced with the havoc of choice on where to deliver her child, Jacqueline settled on Sisto Mazoldi Hospital because it was faith-based, which implied that principal-led care would be offered. Her mother-in-law asked us to hide her identity for privacy reasons, but agreed to tell us the story of Jacqueline's final day on earth, 1st April 2023. Just the day before, Jackie, as her family called her, went to Sister Mazzoldi Hospital for a checkup, but because her due date was near, she packed an overnight bag of clothes and essentials just in case of delivery. This being her third child meant she knew when labor was close, and excitement was brewing in her to complete her trio of young ones with her newborn child.
Usiku, daktari alipigia mimi simu, wewe ni mama Jacqueline, niliambia ni mimi. Sasa Jacqueline amepata mtoto, lakini huyo mtoto ameaga.
This happened at roughly midnight. Upon hearing the news, Jacqueline's husband rushed to Sister Mazzoldi Hospital, where he was reportedly told to let his wife rest and instead come and visit her in the morning. This was the first sign that, like Agnes, Jacqueline was about to be denied the care the hospital claimed to serve. Jacqueline's husband went back home and the family jointly went to visit her early the next morning.
Sasa mimi mwenyewe mimi nataka ingia nione Jackie. Sasa vile niliambia mimi nataka wana Jackie, akwambia mimi chochote. Ndio daktari mwingine akakuja kumwambia, mama Jackie ni wewe? Niliambia na huyu ni bwana yake. Niliambia Sasa mtulie tu, niliambia kwa nini? Anasema Jackie hayuko.
Jacqueline was dead. The double tragedy in barely 2 breaths of each other was devastating. But what lingered more were the questions. Jacqueline's child passed on at around 12 a.m., after which her husband rushed to hospital but was blocked from seeing her. Jacqueline then passed away at roughly 3 a.m., yet the hospital did not notify her family. They instead waited for them to come back during visiting hours to inform them.
Sasa nilirudi kuuliza daktari nini mbaya, alikuwa nini mbaya na huyu? Hata aliambia mimi hata sisi tumeshtuka, hata sisi kushtuka tu kwa kifo yake. Niliambia na wewe ulisema mtoto, kwani wanamwambia mimi pamoja na mama yake? Akanyamaza.
But one of the most disturbing parts of this twisted tale would come when Jacqueline's family discovered that somebody had put her phone on flight mode. But now, 2 years after Jacqueline's mysterious death, we are able to reconstruct what happened on the night in question and how actions by the hospital contributed to this. Jacqueline arrived at 4 p.m. in good health. At roughly 12 a.m., she developed complications and gave birth to a stillborn child. Shortly after, her condition declined. Her symptoms included gasping for air, convulsing, dilated pupils, and bleeding, which by all means necessitated critical and emergency care. A team member on duty called an ambulance from Nakuru PGH to pick Jacqueline up for referral, as they realized they could not handle her case. It is here that the management made themselves God and decided Jackie's fate in the dead of the night.
The ambulance from Nakuru County waited for this matter for 1 hour and 30 minutes. The driver was persuading the management that even if she is stable, give us the patient so that we can go, because everything is ready to receive this patient. And they refused, the hospital management refused to refer this mother. And after 1 hour, 30 minutes of waiting, the driver received a call from the county again because of the busy schedule of the county. And they instructed him to go to Mogotio to pick another patient.
Jacqueline died some 30 minutes after the ambulance left.
We asked the questions about why did the mother die?
It was this question by Amos and Wycliffe that will set off the next series of events. But before that, we can reveal a video taken undercover that confirms the management's involvement in Jacqueline's death. This is a phone conversation of Sister Redemptor, who made the decision to keep Jacqueline in the hospital as she fought to stay alive. She is speaking with the then Nakuru sub-county coordinator.
But I know I will be because the Tambiwa we sent to the ambulance, you refused to refer the patient, and the outcome is now poor. Unajua kitu ulinieleza, hata niliongea na Frank akaniambia hata people zimeanza kudilate and gasp. So when I called them, I told them who prepare this might be a case of ICU. Kwa sababu mama bado hajifungua na condition iko hivi.
Ndio hivyo.
So now they will tell me we sent to the ambulance, the ICU was alerted.
We reached out to officials from Nakuru County to find out whether an audit was launched into her case. They confirmed that one was conducted and reported through the official reporting channels. When we asked what the outcome of the audit was and whether information on it could be found, they did not respond. This is especially strange considering that the Nakuru sub-county team was aware about the delay in the referral.
Similarly for health facilities, that is why we have a referral mechanism. That if a facility is not able to provide services at a certain level, there is another facility that has what is needed to treat, whether in terms of equipment or in terms of the doctors or specialists and even other professionals that may be required.
That the management was aware that Jackie's case had deteriorated into an emergency, that they refused to refer her, and that they let her bleed to death and gasp for life as an ambulance waited outside to refer her for 1 whole hour and 30 minutes illustrates how it took almost no effort to be cruel on their part. It also appears that getting away with Jacqueline's case in 2023 made them even bolder with Agnes in 2024, as the curve of evil took an upward trajectory. The Cabinet Secretary for Health, Aidan Dwale, states that an analysis of maternal deaths in hospitals are a key point in the ministry's agenda, as the rates are far too high, with 355 deaths per 100,000 live births, according to the 2019 census. However, an assessment on the latest numbers is being conducted, and results are expected by the end of February 2026.
One of the causes is professional negligence. Consultants not being in some of our hospitals. Referrals not being well coordinated. When a mother is bleeding and then she needs to be referred. The other thing is we want to do is to make sure there is proper reporting. And that's what the president was insisting. Because now we have the digital platform. And if you look at the law, it's criminal to falsify data, particularly in the health sector.
Another lead on how the hospital handled mothers who are going into their delivery comes from this leaked WhatsApp message from one of the clinical officers who was on night duty. He was complaining about actions by the then sister in charge. He writes, and I quote, "Hii mambo ya oxytocin nimerealize anazificha ndio mama ende CS in the name of prolonged labor." Another states, "Nilishona madhe bila lignosine." Lignosine is an anesthetic to numb and block out nerve signals, typically after a mother has suffered a tear or undergone an episiotomy during birth. The negligence that shrouded Jacqueline's delivery comes out in waves. One of the highest tides is a report that one of the nurses who attended to Jackie that night was not licensed. She is identified as Sheila Kandie.
Nasema it's between me and the body that standing for me, nursing council.
Actually, no, it's also a public matter because you're the one who is treating patients in the public eye. So those patients need to be aware that you are licensed. It's not between you and NCK alone. It's also about the public because you're treating patients who are part of the public. So why I'm asking...
I won't be employed in an hospital without it.
So you're confirming that you're licensed?
No, I'm not confirming. I'm just asking you to come to the hospital, or let me call first Sister Agnes, because I've seen her missed call. Let me call her and ask her.
I'm confused. Why is it difficult for you to confirm if you're licensed or not?
And why are you asking me such questions?
It's a simple question, yes or no. You have a valid ID under Nursing Council of Kenya?
We tried to search for Sheila's name on the Nursing Council of Kenya portal of registered nurses in Kenya, but we did not find her. We also asked NCK if they have any nurse with such a name under the registry, but they said they could not find her. Yet again, the question is why the hospital went to these lengths.
Because of the trend of the hospital, my own understanding is because they kept this matter for financial gains, because she was using NHIF and they wanted to claim that money.
We reached out to the hospital to verify these claims, but we did not receive any response. Jacqueline's grave rests next to her babies. Her mother-in-law reflects on the last goodbye she bid to Jackie, which she says was different.
Alikuwa mtu wa furaha, hata wakati alienda alicheka. Wakati yeye alienda niliambia, kwani unaenda jeka usiku saa 11? Anasema maate, haina sita, si nitarudi saa hii. Anaenda kweli, msichana wangu anaenda kupika huko. Anarudi kitu anakuja kaita maate, niliambia sasa ulisahau nini? Anasema nilikuwa nakuja kumwambia wewe nimeenda.
That Jacqueline could not contend with saying one goodbye and returned for a second one lingers on her mind, as does the longing of the 2 children Jacqueline left behind for their mother. Unfortunately, we were not able to speak to Jacqueline's husband in the course of this investigation, as shortly after his wife passed on, he went into mental distress. This video clip is the punctuation of how delays in referring patients at Sisto Mazoldi Hospital caused a trail of devastation. This is a mother who brought in her sick child to the hospital. Upon review, the team that received her noticed that the child had a kidney problem and needed to be referred for specialized care, which could not be found at the hospital. The response by the then sister in charge, named Sister Sophia Redemptor, was, and I quote, "If God decides to take a life, then He decides." This is confirmed in this recording where Wycliffe and Amos confronted her about it.
Mimi mwenyewe nikakuja na nikakurekodi hapo, nikakwambia sister, we cannot manage this baby, wacha tumtume mbele. Na ukasema kama wakati wake wa kufa umefika, hata akienda mbele hatasaidika.
We reached out to Sister Sophia Redemptor regarding the accusations leveled against her, but she directed us to the Nakuru County audit. The baby was not referred and died that night. Fed up with the spate of gross medical negligence, the absence of good and the presence of evil, Amos and Wycliffe challenged the management about their actions. In particular, they pressed them on why they pretended to refer Agnes's corpse to another facility to avoid liability. They also questioned why medication was being hidden in order to force mothers to undergo cesarean sections and why emergency cases weren't being referred. They also queried why some pages of their contract were missing, yet they were pushed to sign them.
That's when now the management decided that they were going to frustrate us, and that was through changing the terms of our services, our contract. And that's when now the real problems, the bigger problems at the facility started.
Amos and Wycliffe refused to sign the documents by the hospital to alter their terms of service.
It is quite disturbing even to think about the issues that happened there, given that you find a mother who was okay the evening you are going home, and then the information comes to you that the mother died, and when you ask this question, the facility decide to maneuver.
And then this happened.
They put us at the back of the ambulance. We were 3 of us, and they told us that we are going to the diocese. And you understand that the ambulance, the windows of the ambulances, they are translucent, so you cannot see outside clearly. And so when when the vehicle started moving, the sirens were put on.
While the pair reckon it was a show of intimidation by the hospital, it can also be found to be a violation under Kenya's Traffic Act and the National Transport and Safety Authority guidelines, because an ambulance is legally classified as an emergency vehicle. It can also be found to be a violation under Section 15 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act 2007, which states that a person who willfully interferes with or misuses any means, appliance, convenience, or other thing provided or done in the interests of safety, health, and welfare in pursuance of this Act commits an offence and shall on conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 100,000 shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months or to both. When they finally arrived at what they thought was the diocese, they found out that they were actually at the offices of the lawyers representing the hospital. Amos and Wycliffe still refused to sign the contracts that changed their terms of service, which they say led to them being terminated from the hospital.
We looked at the building, we told them this is not a diocese. They said yes, we have brought you to the legal council. And we asked them that you have brought us to the legal council, as ourselves we do not have any representation here, so it's not fair. And they said that you have to just sit and listen to what they are going to say. The first thing the lawyer told us was that you are here because your salaries have to be reduced.
But even after they were terminated, they continued highlighting the issues happening at the hospital. This was quickly causing currents among the hospital's management, shifting the tectonic plates in a much darker direction. This included a WhatsApp message where one of the sisters had written to an unidentified man.
She went ahead to give our names, full names, and told the person who they were chatting with that he should take care of us, atushughulikie.
Wycliffe adds that he was also contacted by a police officer who demanded that he appear at the police station following a complaint by one of the sisters, despite the absence of a statement from her.
Sasa unataka tukuje tufanye nini?
Nilikuwa nataka mkuje mimi mwenyewe, kwa maana nimewaita as professionals kwa kabla nifanye kazi nyingine. Nimuite hapa yeye mwenyewe present kama hiyo evidence iko, kama hakuna mimi muende, kama hiyo evidence iko tujue sasa vile tutafanya.
While Amos and Wycliffe's final curtain call came in the form of a termination from the hospital, others resigned from what they termed a toxic work environment, such as Mark, a former member of staff, who also asked us to conceal his identity.
The first question you are asked by your MOS, what is your target for today? That the target means how many are you targeting to admit for inpatient care? How many are you targeting to send to the laboratory, even if the test is necessary or it's not necessary? In quotes, is for money-making business.
The targets didn't end there.
They had even local arrangement with some schools around. If one child is sick, he has to be accompanied by the others who are the full. If it's a pro box, they get full. Instead of one, they be around 4.
And then the scheme got downright dangerous with time, with the hospital throwing dice on the board of human life and gambling with it.
You want this surgery to be done, but they want you write a different surgery to be done. So you change. You change the diagnosis. They force you to change it. So it means when you take it to the radiology, that is ultrasound or X-ray. So in a way, they also want to maneuver that personnel, to change diagnosis to fit the one which you have written, such that they marry.
And that's why, in fact, we are introducing a new law in Parliament called Quality of Health Care and Patient Safety Bill. What does this bill do? It's no longer just, for many years in our country, care was not defined. Mothers used to sleep on the floor of a hospital. That is not care. 3 mothers used to share a bed who don't know each other. And NHIF used to pay for the 3 beds. We have introduced a system where if your license is giving you 50 beds, you must have only 50 patients.
This is especially important as, in a complete contrast to care, just a few days ago, NTV managed to highlight how mothers in Nakuru Level 5 Hospital are forced to share hospital beds after giving birth. Mark says that the hospital's conduct conflicted with the oath he took at the start of his career, and so he left.
A patient is at our mercy. Whatever you tell him or her, he will accept.
And perhaps this comment from Amos at the start of this investigation has even more impact now.
I am fearing for somebody else, or myself, or another family member of mine, or any other person, because I took an oath as a health practitioner when I graduated, and I swore that I will serve the public.
Beyond the fraud and cruelty that characterized the stay of many patients at Sister Mazoldi Hospital, this story also illuminates how a religious cloak adorned by the hospital was misused and played a role in drawing in hopeful patients, especially mothers, who believed they would be guarded under the wings of faith and God.
Tunaomba pia kanisa hili waweze kuchukua hatua kwa hii hospitali, kwa sababu maisha ya mtu mmoja ni muhimu hata kuliko kila kitu. Ni muhimu hata kuliko pesa ambayo mnatafuta kama hospitali.
Wycliffe felt a deep connection to Agnes's case. She was the last patient he attended to before ending his shift, an expectant mother eagerly awaiting the birth of her first child. In many ways, uncovering and revealing the truth that others sought to bury holds profound significance for him.
Today I have had the privilege of visiting the family of the late Agnes Chelangat, who died at the hospital, Sister Mazoldi Hospital, under very strange circumstances. It's my duty to make sure that she receives the justice that every Kenyan deserves.
It was the comfort of a faith-based hospital that made mothers such as Agnes and Jacqueline choose Sister Mazoldi Hospital as a place where they would give birth to their children. But what lay in wait was more sinister than anyone could ever imagine. The hospital believed that they could bury their secrets with the very victims who suffered at their hands, but not anymore. However, what we've been able to uncover is just one hospital and one case, those that were in the open. There may very well be other Sister Mazoldi hospitals hiding under the cover of negligence and the total abandon of care of human life. Ngena Kirori, NTV investigates.